An exclusive rumor says that the MCU finally has a woman they think you will be willing to go see at movie theaters for the next few years. Today we'll tell you who it might be, and hint, if you saw the thumbnail, if you click the title, it's Hailee Steinfeld. Can she be the stopgap along with Chris Pratt that gets them across the finish line? All the way to X-Men? We'll tell you whether or not Marvel gets the win right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel that heeds the call for explaining what's going on in the halls of Hollywood. As we get started, click the like button. We've got an exclusive scoop, a rumor. Take the salt. Folks, can't corroborate just yet, but check the track record. We're diving in right now. Like button, Hailee Steinfeld, here we go. Nora Dominic has this on X. I feel like we talk a lot about Zendaya, Florence Pugh, and Timothy Chalamet, and their incredible run of projects, and rightly so, but also more needs to be said about Hailee Steinfeld, who has created an all-time filmography like the girl doesn't miss. Is that Nora Dominic saying that, or is that Kentanji? I don't know. I can't tell the difference in SCOTUS justices anymore. I kid, folks. Okay.
Wait for it.
That's right. So this is, on the right side, you've got her playing the MCU character, who some people call female Hawkeye. Kate Bishop is the character she plays. And the exclusive that we've got to talk about, folks, we're in rumor and speculation territory, but I have been told by the same source that gave me the info that Chris Pratt may be coming in to save the day with the Avengers movies, because who else are they going to do at this point? Pedro's failing, and so they need Chris Pratt to come back as Star-Lord. This source is telling me that Hailee Steinfeld is currently in some contractual talks to get a bigger role for the next movies in Avengers, because they're looking for somebody that the audience will like, that will not throw the audience away, that doesn't, the audience doesn't get nauseous when they think about her. And right now they're running with the idea that Hailee Steinfeld is their lead female, their lead actress. I know they don't like to even say that word anymore, but she's the lead actress until, and this is what's important, until they get to the X-Men. And my source says that they believe that Marvel and the MCU believe that if they can get to X-Men, they can solve this problem. They can totally, utterly solve the problem, because once they're with X-Men, they can reestablish strong female characters that they believe audiences will connect with and love. Now, I don't put any credence in the idea that Marvel knows what they're doing at this point. So I don't know that they can, I think they'll try to make Storm be the queen of Wakanda. I think that they'll make, Rogue won't be the untouchable, beauty. Instead, she'll be the woman that nobody wants to touch. I don't trust them, not for a second. But this is where I think, and it makes sense to me that this is where they're going. And I don't really have a problem with this. I think this is a decent pick. I know some people have some issues with Miss Steinfeld, but and the NFL, well, they got to be happy with this. So, Lauren, Ron, Vash, Lou, anybody, all of you, get in here and give me your thoughts on this one, because I find it fascinating that they're trying to find a stopgap. And she wouldn't like to be referred to as that. But this is a stopgap. They're trying to find, they can't bring back Brie. They will, I believe, to some, for a cameo. They don't have popular female characters right now. They were all wasted in phase 4 and phase 5 on this new wave feminist stuff. So they've got to get a new female character, or at least one that wasn't heavily damaged. And maybe Kate Bishop is the only one that isn't heavily damaged now.
I didn't see the Hawkeye series, but I do like Hailee Steinfeld. I'm not aware of the controversy that you're referring to around her, but I really liked her in Bumblebee. And I think if they were smart, introducing her is good, but they should also go back and try and patch things up with Jeremy Renner and bring him in as a surprise. And I think that's something that the audience would go for.
Okay, Lauren, hang on. Let's go with that, because this is something that popped in my head when this was handed my way, and this comes from a source that's been right so many times. It's still rumor and speculation, but that's why we're bringing it to you, is because of how correct this source has been in the past. Lauren, if they bring her in as Kate Bishop, and if people already say, oh, she's Girl Hawkeye, if Jeremy Renner isn't in the movies, and he's kind of been vocal lately about this, If they sub her in and him out, then that will completely change everything. And in my opinion, she shouldn't sign a contract. She shouldn't be in the movie. Like, that should be her demand is, I will only be in the film as this character if Jeremy Renner's there as well.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think that weirdly, I would almost put Jeremy Renner up as the new leader of the Avengers, because he's been there since the beginning. He could do that mentor role, and he's got a real hero story to tell. I don't think that they've done Hawkeye complete justice in the film so far. They did improve his character. They certainly improved on his first appearance in the first Avengers movie by giving him the family and the backstory and all of that. But I think that he should be up there in more of a lead role, and I think that Disney could actually win some goodwill with that.
And it's an easy win. Like, that's a super easy win. So this is actually, I hadn't thought about us taking this avenue of conversation, but I think it's worthwhile. I think they need, in addition to Chris Pratt, I think they got to have Jeremy Renner. And if they're going to bring in Hailee Steinfeld, it's got to be with Renner, and he can't be denigrated. Like, he can't take a second place here.
No, I think I agree with Lauren, because I've been thinking about the very same thing, the very same idea that Jeremy Renner as the Hawkeye character, he's definitely ready to retire as far as his action, right? His actually getting into the field, but as a, that puts him in the perfect position to take a leadership role. And I don't know that it's not necessarily been precedented in the comics or anything like that, but Jeremy Renner is a real life superhero. I mean, nobody can deny that what he did was incredible. Nobody even thought he would survive. And his story is beyond amazing. I mean, like I've watched him in the interviews, read his story, some of it's brought me to tears. Because it's amazing. Like it's just like the story we started with, a dad saves his kid kind of a thing. When you're the person who thinks of yourself last, right? And put yourself in that position where you're literally facing the potential end of your life, and what he went through, it's changed him as a person, and he could really bring that to the Hawkeye role as a leader in the Avengers. I don't know that Marvel or MCU, that like Kevin Feige, does he think of these kind of things? Like, I mean, it's obvious to anybody who's a fan who's watching this, but is it obvious to the people that are in these small rooms with a couple of other, what they consider creative minds, but they're in a bubble, and they're really not thinking about what the audience is thinking about. They're just thinking about their own thoughts. It bothers me sometimes. But again, I don't have an issue with Hailee Steinfeld. I've liked what she's done. I would love to see her Spider-Gwen character meet her Hawkeye female character. It would be an interesting thing to see on the screen in some way. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with her if they utilize her. But again, utilizing her in conjunction with Jeremy Renner in some type of a leadership role, I think, is the way to go. So,
Vash, let me ask you this question. And Ron, those were beautiful points you made. I really appreciate them. Vash, I gotta say that to Ron, because I'm gonna have a less than question for you. Okay, I'm not gonna hit the grandiose levels. I feel badly now, but I gotta ask this question from a marketing, in regards to why they want to cast her. Mm-hmm. So we already said, they damaged a lot of the female characters, right? People really aren't even excited about the Invisible Woman now, Sue Storm. They're not excited about the Silver Surfette they're trying. She-Hulk, oh, give me a break, right? All right, so Vash, one of the things that Marvel is suffering right now, and I mean suffering through, is that they've lost the young guys. If you look at the demographics in Marvel movies now, it's guys above the age of 30 that are going to these Marvel movies because they're living off of yesteryear when Marvel was big. But the teenage guys, they're not there anymore. They're not into it. They're watching Minecraft. So Vash, is Hailee Steinfeld a play to try to get those young guys back? Is this somebody? I mean, heck, maybe they need to get Sabrina Carpenter. I don't know. But is Hailee Steinfeld the pick to try to get the young guys back based on just them saying, "Oh wow, I like Hailee. I'll be there."
could be. Also, well, yeah, maybe a little bit. I think they lost a lot of that when they let Scarlett Johansson go in the way that they did, they have.
She's not in favor of being very much like she was anymore, right? That's SCARJO's position.
Yeah, she has taken a very interesting position. I was actually having this conversation yesterday to somebody about this. How she seems dead set on closing the door behind her. What I mean by that is that she's not necessarily in favor of roles that let's say glorify women's immutable characteristics. Right? I'll put it like that. And it's like, well, okay, that's fine. I suppose you can have your strong opinions about that. But what about other women who might want to take on those roles in order to pursue something else? This is the door that she used to get into the industry, and yet she's closing it behind her, which I thought was not great. So in that way, past the Scarlett Johansson point, you are looking at I'd say a void, let's say, of really strong, capable female women who I think men and women can look to and be compelled by the other characters. And I just don't think that they've really provided that after Scarlett Johansson. So it might be, to your point, Pro, something where it's like they're looking at this and looking to get a name like this. Now, I will say Hailee Steinfeld, she might also come at a discount compared to other women around her in the space. That's probably why they hired her on for Hawkeye in the first place. And like you said, Josh Allen is her boyfriend, the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. So
right, so we can get a T-Swift thing going on. One final thought on this before we move on, and I do find this intriguing because having her as a stopgap to get to the X-Men and then bringing more female characters, that's something. But I kind of wonder, Florence Pugh is in this tweet, this post, and I chose this for a reason. Florence Pugh was supposed to carry the Thunderdolts, and Florence Pugh was supposed to be a box office success there. And they've had Florence Pugh. I don't think people have noticed this. Florence Pugh has been front and center on some of those marketing things with the Avengers. Like her chair was very quick. I'm kind of thinking they believed that Florence Pugh was going to fill that role, and maybe they panicked after the box office for Thunderbolts.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking about Florence Pugh actually when we were bringing this up because I was like, man, I think that may have been the initial pick, and it's just like she's just not bringing in that box office draw. Not unlike a Scarlett Johansson or some of the other female characters that have had attached to these films and products. So it could be like, hey, look, listen, maybe Hailee demands a little bit less of a rate. She may be a bigger draw. Her character was well liked in the series that we produced for her. Let's go in this other direction. You could definitely tell, though, that Marvel is just rudderless. They just really don't know what to do. I think they're trying to reach those highs that they reached 5-6 years ago, but with a talent pool that is less steep than it was before.
There you go.
There is one more aspect to this, of course. Merchandise. The reason why you want the teens and 20s and not the 30s and 40s is that other than diehard collectors and super fans, 30s and 40s don't buy action figures.
That's right.
They just don't. And that's a big part of the game now. So,
plus
it's not just performing in a movie anymore.
Well, and I think that if they bring in her a co-star from Pitch Perfect, what's it, Anna Kendrick, and make her Squirrel Girl, then we've got a perfect combination. Squirrel Girl needs the Avengers.
I will only accept Squirrel Girl if Anna Kendrick is actually playing her. Okay, other than that, terrible character.
That Squirrel Girl would attract more nuts to the game than other anthropomorphic superheroines.
See, I don't know.
Anna Kendrick could do the cup thing, that she did in that one movie.
There you go.
Yeah, but it'll be acorns
Anna Kendrick
instead.
has the cups, and Sweeney's cups runneth over, and so it all works,
There you go. All right, Lauren, you want to give us the final word on this before we go? Any final last words, sir?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. I think that Marvel's in a bad place. They need to think of something. I think they could do worse than bringing Hailee Steinfeld in. I do think they need to bring in Jeremy Renner with her. I think the X-Men stuff that you're talking about is going to be a mistake if that's the way that they think that they're going to try and get the audience on board. They really seriously need to rethink how they're looking at this. The MCU failed. They can't keep trying to resurrect it.
Lauren, for people who are still hanging with us in this segment, I've heard now for years that they want Storm to be the head of Wakanda, and they have to keep Wakanda going. Like it's a big deal in their company, and they can't have another Wakanda forever. Having Storm be the lead of Wakanda, I think that's where they're going.
Okay, but what else you got? You know, it's like that's fine, and they can do that and tell a plausible story with it. That ain't going to resurrect their franchise. They need a workable Avengers, and they don't have it.
That's true. And folks, we have come to the end yet again. Another video of excellence in the can. What a joy it has been to share time with you. We hope you enjoyed it as well. If so, consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. And as always, drop a comment down below. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. Join a community dialogue today, just on down below. Folks, we are going to say farewell for now, but we will see you back. 4 is more, and that's how many videos we put out every single day here on the Pro Channel. Hope you enjoy them all. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
Want it all, so I give them cannonball. Yeah!
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.